I'm back. It's been a long time. I've been all over the shop in the last couple of months. I did a video. We had a tornado. Yeah, not a lot of damage, but enough to make the effort hard to get clean. And Saturday morning seems to be the only time I could do most of that stuff. We're now still in the throes of moving, as you can see, nothing behind me. So it's still here in the same place on the Gold Coast, but that's coming. We just work on that in time. First off, get everything done through the insurance companies, get everything ready, then sell. Then we move to a new location. And I'll do a test when I'm up there. I'll do a live on a Saturday morning. Nothing big. I just want to see what the uploads and downloads are going to be like, because I have to go satellite. There's no NBN or fast internet where I'm going. It's going to be done through the satellite. So my lives might not work there, and we'll have to test that out as we're going. But as we go, we move into this one as quick as we can today. We're going to try and do it within half an hour, but you know me, I rabbit on far too long, and it may take a bit longer. So now's the time, like I always say at the beginning, to move on if you think you might be offended. And if you do, then if you are going to be offended, then say move on, because you know me, don't give a rat's. At the same, also do a big like now at the beginning and go right through the end. Just like it, because you know you're a nice person and you probably should. So those of you who are live, welcome, hello. Again, I doubt that there'll be anyone today because it's been a long time, but good morning to you. Anywho, what I'm going to say today is been just stuff going through my head, like constantly bombarded by stuff online. And I'm not going to be doing videos that, what do they call them? Where they look at someone else's video and they critique it. There's a word for it. Comment. They comment on other people's comments. So that's a little bit unimaginative as far as I'm concerned. They just put their view on what other people have said. Like, I want this to be a little bit along the lines of, I've had a thought, we're in a party, an event, barbecue, whatever you want to call it. And I go, have you guys thought of this? And I just want to put it out there. So that's pretty much what I'm doing with these videos. I don't want to do comments on other people's videos or use their information to fill up my page, making you watch all these different things. This is all about me being the center of the world and the attention that I think I need to be, and sharing that with all of you, 4, 5 of you. Anywho, so one thing that I've noticed a lot here in Australia, and it may not be anywhere else, it seems to be that the Australian government and government bodies believe we have to display 3 flags. Now, I'm going to get into this a little bit later. I just want to show you what the 3 flags are. So we've clearly always seen this one. This is the Australian flag. It's you can see it has the Union Jack in the top left-hand corner. The Union Jack is our tie to the kings and queens of England, and how they colonised and moved out and did what they had to do to give us our great country. The bottom star, I'm not 100% sure what that is, and I probably should, because, you know, being Australian and all. But these ones over here, the 5 stars of the Southern Cross. I think this one might be a pointer star to the Southern Cross. But in the comments, those who know, just, let me know what that one is. These 5 here is the Southern Cross. Now, the other flag we seem to have is this flag, which is the Indigenous Australian, or the I'm not going to say it, the Indigenous Australian Aboriginals, the Indigenous of Australia, the Aboriginals. And, I actually like that flag. I think it's calm, it's neutral, it's not representing anything other than, these colours that are beautiful to our Australia. And for those of you who've been to Australia, this is very much the colours of Australia, like in the dark western part of, or the high western part of Western Australia. It's all red, red dust, red dirt. Pretty much everywhere in Australia, you'll find a place where there's red dirt. And the stars in the sky, beautiful and black, it's fantastic. And yellow is just the symbol of unity of sun. I think that's a really, really beautiful, beautiful flag. The one that I don't get at and I don't understand is this one. And this is the Torres Strait Islander flag. You have a look at this flag, and you are going to say something, and you may not ever unsee it. I don't get whoever designed this flag and where the head was. I don't know, but to me, every time I see it, and I saw this the first time I saw the flag, and maybe that just shows where my head is. But you have a little look at that flag. I'll bring this back up again. So I look at that flag as a big-assed person bending over, showing his date. Maybe it's a bloke with his nuts hanging out down here and his big butt crack hanging up there. Man, woman, sort of irrelevant, isn't it? It's like, kiss my ass is all I see that flag represents. I don't see it being anything to do with the nation of the people of the Torres Strait Islands. Now, I mean, you might hate me for it, but I really don't. I don't, me, don't give a shit. It is just an opinion. It's just, it doesn't bring anything to me other than kiss my ass. And unsee that now if you can. Right? That's Torres Strait Islander flag. So I actually don't get where there's any idea of that being anything reasonable. We fly those three flags pretty much everywhere. You go to school, there's three flag poles, and there's the Australian flag on the left, the Indigenous flag in the middle, and the Torres Strait Islander flag on the right of those. I don't know. All I see in that is a separation of identities. So I think we need to bring in one flag. Now, I know there's other nations in the world that have multiple flags, but I don't know if there's any first world nation that does. And I don't see that any one of those, if I'm part of the Australian flag, which is the traditional one, then I see those others and go, well, they're not me, because I'm the Australian flag. If I'm the Indigenous flag, which again I really like, is not, well, I'm Australian, I'm on the Australian flag side, or I'm on Torres Strait Islander, I'm on this side. And then it separates all the way through all three of them. So I have, in my ingenious designs, come up with a fourth, an option to bring in the Indigenous Australian culture and nations. And I say nations because all of a sudden you're a tribe or a mob and you're a bloody nation. And the Australian nation, which is all of us together, by the way, guys. It isn't separate or divisional, whatever the word is. So this is the flag I like. Let me know what you think. Did it come up? Of course it didn't. How about now? How about that? How about that? There's the wonderful Indigenous Australian flag, which is the black, the red, and the yellow, which symbolises everything to do with our country. And the Southern Cross, which is unified and known around the world as a symbol on the Australian and, believe it or not, the New Zealand flag. So the reason the Southern Cross is so good is because we're a southern nation, the great southern land, not including or discluding the New Zealanders in this. But if we're going to bring in the Torres Strait Islanders, who are a nation close to New Guinea, as part of the Australian culture and annexed to Queensland as part of Queensland state, then why don't we bring New Zealand into the Victorian state and just become one great country? And this Southern Cross symbol represents all of it. We've got a lot of New Zealanders living here now, expats from there. We have some going back, but most of them stay because it's a great country here. Anyway, how about that? In the comments, someone tell me what you think. I think this is a good flag. I like the Indigenous flag. I think it's a great one, symbolising our country, and it has a Southern Cross from the original Australian flag. Anywho, it's all about this. Change on, move on. Let's go ahead with what I'm going to talk about. Okay, this is going to be a little bit, I guess, in someone's face, not mine, because it's, hey, my opinion, I think it's really cool. This DEI thing that's out there at the moment, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we all have to abide by this set of rules in a workplace and even in a society. Otherwise, we are whatever we are. I don't know what we are. All I see is diversity, equity, and inclusion is creating. If you're not diverse in your mindset, then you become the same as everybody else. So if I have to have diversity in my workplace, then I become the same as everybody. I know that's as a play on words, but I think there needs to be separation, not separation, it needs to be difference. Difference in workplaces, difference in society. Now, do we have other people come through? I don't believe that a Western culture isn't diverse. I think just by the nature of being the West and having such a great, successful cultural belief pattern that everyone from all of the third, second world countries are coming here and bringing in all of their beautiful things to this diverse, already diverse culture. To be forced to be diverse just creates same. It just creates same, which is the opposite of diverse. So I'm sort of not sure that diversity is what we need to be putting our finger on. I think just what we do is to be thankful for everything that we've done in the West to bring all these nations in. Who hasn't gone down the local pizza shop in Australia and had a pizza, or Chinese food, or Lebanese food, or Vietnamese food? We go to Vietnam, we enjoy that culture, we bring some of their stuff back. Who hasn't got a yin yang symbol somewhere in their house or in their mindset when they're talking about things? I do it all the time. So we are extremely diverse. To be forced to do something creates the separation and also the sameness. So equity, it's I know what it says. It's like, I'll look it up. I'm not going to look it up for you. I did, but I don't remember. But I see equity as imbalance. I don't understand why it needs to be. I guess you need to be impartial and accepting and all that sort of stuff. But again, that it creates an imbalance in the society. It's when we come in. If I move to Thailand or Vietnam or Syria, maybe not. But if I move to those countries, I think it's in my best interest to, even before I go, to learn the basics of their culture and their language. Now, if I want to go to Thailand and I don't like the Thai culture, and I go there and all I do is complain about the Thai culture, then I'm an idiot. Like I'm an idiot. If I like, I don't know, I like Japan, and I decide I want to go to Japan, and I investigate Japan. I investigate the Japanese culture, I investigate the language, the nuances between the way they say things, and understand that their language may seem guttural, but probably isn't, is my perception of it. I need to embrace all of those things before I go there. And that creates balance. In equity is, it's my choice. I need to be able to make that. I don't believe I need to, me, in my culture, adjust to everybody else's culture because they came here. Like, come on, it's a no-brainer. So inclusion, my experience of inclusion, right, as a white male, is exclusionary. I believe that inclusion, inclusion creates separation. Because if you want to include everything in every process, then you're creating a separate position. If I don't want to be part of that, then I've created a separate state. It may be my interpretation of it, my perception of what it means, and I could be well and truly wrong, and like maybe I am. Maybe the world needs to die. I mean, DEI. Freudian slip there, I'm sure. But all of these things that we are forced to do doesn't encourage us to do it, and anyone knows that. If you force a child to do something, they actively resist against doing it. If you tell a child that what they're doing is okay by them, it's up to them to work out where they want to go with that. That child grows when they make things happen that are wrong for them. It's difficult if they are forced to do something because it just creates an anarchist. You must. No, I don't have to. You become angry. Anger creates all these other things. Anyway, moving on. I don't want to keep going on that. It's just, again, all this is opinion and it's conversation. Let's start a conversation about these things and do it in the chat. Do it with your friends. I don't care where you do it. All right, the next thing I want to go on to is a little bit about, I do traffic control. And for those of you know traffic control, as I stand on the side of a road with a stop bat and a slow bat, maybe stop go in your country, I don't know. And I stop traffic when trucks need to go in and out of a work site, or when pedestrians are working onto a work site and they're not supposed to. So I see so many people, like so many different people. And in my last job site, it was really close to a beautiful beach here on the Gold Coast. So I saw heaps and heaps of semi-clothed people. Right? So first thing I want to talk about is there is a medical term for it, and Gino, Masto, something or other. But in Australia, we call them bitch tits, or maybe man boobs or moobs or whatever you want to call them. So let's do moobs because moobs sounds really cool. So I see a lot of moobs around, and I just is like, why is there so many men with boobs? And none of them are transitioning. They're just men with boobs. And I'm going, okay, there's something in this. So I did minimal amount of research. I do the amount of research it gives me food to argue with people. So I found out that too much estrogen, which is the female hormone, can create this condition in men, and it creates, not all of the time, of course. Of course, I'm generalizing. I'm not saying every single case out there, this is what happens. It's a generalized thing that it's created by the foods that we eat. So the foods over the last 50 years have been, maybe more, we've been told that it's important for us to eat grains and 5 fruit and 3 veg every day, and all these things that are really good for our health and for the environment. Like, yeah, go figure that. So here I am looking at this, trying to find out what foods create estrogen, which I know creates this part of it, creates this condition of moobs. And lo and behold, what did I find? Have a little look at that. The foods that boost estrogen: fruits, including apples, berries, grapes, peaches, pears, and plums. You can read, I'm not going to read it out to you. Barley, oat, wheat, which is bread, which is pasta, which is all the stuff we love to eat, which is liquids, plants, beer. You look at how many men with big beer guts and moobs. Flax seeds, don't know what they are. Liquid, sorry. Coffee. How many men do you know drink 10 cups of coffee a day? How many women drink? Hey, Bond, welcome. Glad to see you here. Drive safe on the road. Hey, so the red wine, like, women love red wine, women love coffee too, but it's okay for them to have estrogen because that just makes their boobs bigger. And all men love that. I mean, they got boobs. So we all love that. But men, cut down your beer, not so much red wine, and you might lose your man boobs. Nuts, seeds, almonds, flaxseed, peanuts, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, and there's a crap load of other food that we've been driven to as a society to eat for our health. Now, call me a conspiracy theorist or not, and I don't really care. I believe this has been driven to weaken men, because men, if we have too much estrogen, it creates a health imbalance. We lose a lot of strength and will and power, and that's something that you can look at in here, and I'll show you this as well so that you can have a little look at this. Too much estrogen can cause health problems in men. Erectile dysfunction, infertility, depression. And who can't say honestly that these 3 things aren't on the rise in men today? And we've looked at depression as so many other things that could be the cause of it. But guys, it's your bloody diet and your infertility. We're not growing as many children. We're not making as many children as we used to, because men, we're depressed, or we're infertile, or we have erectile dysfunction, or maybe we have all 3 of them, for God's sake. How horrible would that be? So change your diet, and that'll make a huge difference to the things that you look with. So let's have a look at some foods that are good for testosterone. And I'll tell you this right now. You can look at this and you can share it and you can see it across the world. That these things are what the world, Bill Gates and freaking, what's his name? WEF loser, are wanting us not to eat. And it's simple. Pomegranates. I'll explain those in a minute. Dark chocolate, fattening, don't eat it. Oysters, ginger, beef, chicken, pork, fatty fish, tuna, onions, garlic, extra virgin olive oil. All these things are known to increase testosterone. All you soy boys out there, you are going to be soy boys because you are never going to have children, because you're going to be infertile for one, or you're going to have an imbalance of testosterone, so you're going to have another health disease created by the imbalance of estrogen in your system. Men go through womanopause as women go through menopause. When women hit menopause, I believe, and those women who have done the research, and maybe the men will tell me, that women's testosterone levels naturally increase through menopause. Men go through womanopause, or an equivalent. I know there's a word for it, but don't care. And their estrogen levels increase. So they become a little bit more sensitive and maybe a little bit more caring, a little bit more understanding, and like that's a nice balance to have. But if our food creates an imbalance in our estrogen and our testosterone levels as young men, or like me, we are in trouble. So have a look at that. Have a look at your food. Have a look at what you're eating. And if you're a vegan, God help you. No disrespect to vegans, you're wonderful, beautiful people, I'm sure. But your diet's killing your body. Soy, tofu, do the research. Hey, you aren't saving the planet. You're actually destroying it faster than those who have meat, because, meat, cow shit, they put nutrients back into their soil. All tofu and those products do is they just rape the soil, take all the nutrients out. And then you've got to move somewhere else to plant and try and put fertilizers back in there. Anyway, it's a long story. Different topic, different day. So think about that. This is possibly why, moving to the next part of this, is why the trans movement is so huge coming up at the moment. It's like it's over the top. It's because possibly boys are eating so much of those foods that our world is telling us to eat, that they have got such a high estrogen level that they naturally feel different. And they actually don't feel different. They actually think differently. Their body might react differently. And I've watched a couple of videos. Joe Dispenza's one was a short 15, 16-minute video. If I had the link here, I'll try and find it and maybe put it in the description. It's a must watch. And it talks about the cycle of thought and feeling. And your feeling, like I don't feel normal. I feel a little bit not like the big boys who play rugby, so I must be a little bit soft. Then the mind goes into the video shit they get on TikTok and Instagram, and they start believing maybe I'm a girl, and the thought process goes maybe I'm a girl, which creates a feeling inside, which creates a thought. It's just a loop of shit. It's a loop of despair. Change the diet, maybe give them some more protein-based foods, more testosterone-increasing foods, and this may change that whole mindset and the body feeling process to get rid of the trans movement. No, sorry, rephrase that. Not get rid of trans people. I don't need to rephrase it. I'm not saying get rid of trans people. I'm saying get rid of the movement, because the movement is absolutely ludicrous. So my thought. So on that, the term trans woman and trans man, I think are arse about. I think there is a medical condition for that, and we all know it's gender dysmorphia, I think. And I think it is a choice that you make. I don't necessarily think it's a body out of body thing. This goes back to the Joe Dispenza thing. You create a thought process, which creates this mind process, which creates a thought, creates the mind, and you believe that you're what you're not. You're a man or a woman. That's 100% guaranteed. You know that. I think if you're a woman and you want to become a man, then you are a trans woman, not a trans man, because you're not a man. I mean, you're a woman who's not identifying as a woman, so you're a trans woman who thinks that you're a man. So you become a trans woman, and a trans man, no, a normal man who thinks he's a woman and wants to become a woman is a trans man. So then we can actually decide, we can actually know that, oh, you're a man who thinks you're a woman, right? and wants to be a woman. The more you think it, the more your body will respond to that, which means the more you think. Anyway, that's just that loop again. So I'm going to change it in my head, and I might change it in the way I speak, and I'm sure to offend lots of people with it. If I see a man, clearly a man dressed as a woman and calls themselves Jane, I'm going to call that person a trans man, because he's transgender, but he's a man. So he can be a transgendered man, which we all know that he's dressing like a woman, and he thinks he's a woman. No problem. And if I see a woman dressed like a man and calls herself a him, then I'm going to know that's a trans woman, because it's a woman being a transgender, trying to be a transgender person. Or we just take the gender off it altogether and just say you're trans. But they've got to identify that. So it's like it's a mess of crap. It's one of those things we don't need to entertain our world with. And I think the interface TikTok Graham book thing needs to just get right the hell off it. I think it was Denzel, no, it wasn't Denzel Washington, it was Morgan Freeman talking about race in an interview. And he said, how do you stop the the race problem is stop talking about it. Don't talk about it anymore. And people just get on with their life. Because the majority of us, and I mean the majority of us, don't give a shit. We don't care. They just bombard you on our heads. We just need to zip it off, cut it there. Anywho, veg stitch trans leads to the body positive movement. And I heard this on a Chris Williamson's podcast. A lady was talking about the body positivity movement as a movement designed by beautiful people, beautiful women, to take away the competition. And that was really interesting. I had to think about that for a minute. We've been bombarded by body positive images of morbidly obese women, rarely men, but occasionally. And they're trying to say that's natural and normal when I know that it's a minority, and I mean a very small minority of men that's actually attracted to a morbidly obese woman. I know that because I'm a man and men aren't. The flip side to that coin in body positive is, I'll tell you a story, quick one. I had a friend I used to work with when I was in Canberra, which is our nation's capital, in an office building. She was morbidly obese. She had fat fingers, like every finger, every joint was fat. Her toes were fat, her ankles were fat, her knees were fat. She had that big apron that came down from her stomach down to mid-thigh. Her arms, elbows, fingers, toes, head. Her head was fat. She had literally a condition, a medical condition that made this happen to her. Now, she didn't overeat in public anyhow. She ate a normal lunch. She had morning tea like everybody else. She ate normally, but she was fat. Now, there was another woman in the office who had normal sized feet, like skinny ankles, skinny hands, like a normal face, and just a big fucking waist. Like she was huge and she ate shit. Now, body positive movement would have worked for the number one case. Now, this lady was absolutely beautiful in almost all essences. Not for me physically, but in every aspect of her, she was just beautiful. Her nature, her personality, she was just wonderful. She was dealing with her medical condition so well, she came across as a most beautiful person. This other one, on the other hand, did nothing but whinge, complain about people looking at her and having this issue about her fatness. And, she'd go down to the shop in the morning tea, go down and eat a pie, a sticky finger bun and, a Diet Coke. He goes, bloody hell, I'm eating Diet Coke and I'm not losing weight. So in my not so subtle manner, I said, well, stop eating the shit and exercise. Oh, fuck, I was just hammered. So maybe this was in the early 80s, so maybe it's people like me that started this movement. I don't know. But continuing on that story just briefly, we went out to what we call a happy hour, which is a time at the pub where you get an hour worth of cheap grog. We went there after work on I think it might have been a Thursday night. And this lady, I won't give you a name, not that she's going to know or watch this channel, but she, we were sitting down there and she was taking up 2 chairs and no one cared because she was great. She looked up at this guy at the bar and said, yeah, I feel like sick. I'm horny. I'm going to get him to take me home. And I just rudely laughed. I said, you're joking. She said, no, I'm going to. She didn't take it personally because she was great. She said, bet you $20 I can. And in the 80s, $20 was a lot of money. And I went, fuck, you're on. So put it on the table. Not literally. It was a deal that you shake your hand and you commit to the deal. She went up to this guy and within half an hour, she was doing all of the flirtatious thing that the women do when they know, and hair and laughing at his jokes. And she walked out with him. Now, I have no doubt that it was a person she didn't know. And I know you people are laughing, oh, yeah, she knew him, it was a setup. I have no doubt that it wasn't set up. I have no doubt that her personality would have won him over in a heartbeat because he's a man and any woman that shows interest to a man in a pub who's had a few beers, like he's in anyway. So she took him home, came in the next day with a big smile on her face, and it wasn't that, ha ha, got your smile. It was, yeah, I got it, smile, you know. She said, you took him home? She goes, yep, and we had sex. I go, God, far out. $20 out and gave it to her. So there is a place for everybody. The body positive movement were for women like her, for women who had lost an arm, who maybe had a scar on their face or had one leg shorter than the other. It wasn't for overweight, lazy people who wanted to feel like they could be beautiful and they know inside they're not. They know physically they're not. They're just hoarding food in, they're unhealthy, they know they're not attractive, but we, using DEI again, being diverse and diversity, equity and inclusion, we have to believe they are. And 90, well, maybe not 90, I don't know, 80% of men just know they're not. They just know they're not. 10% of men will do it because, it's a hole, I'll fill it. But most, and the other 10 is just absolutely repulsed by it. So I go back to this and go, the body positive movement is a joke, and we need to let everybody know, for my opinion on that, and you would out there would know as well, that a really, really, really thin woman is just as unattractive as a really, really, really fat woman. And man and woman, it's irrelevant. Gender is not relevant. Someone who is really, 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 really thin is unhealthy. Someone who is morbidly obese is unhealthy. And then there's a spectrum in the middle of that. And we need to determine what that is. And I think as a society, it's our obligation and to our friends as well, to say, hey man, you're looking really, really thin. Are you eating well? Are you not well? Is there something I can do to help you out? I see a mate who's really, really obese. I go, man, far out, put on a bit of weight. You want to go to the gym? Let's work out. Let's try and get that down a little bit. What's your diet like? Let's change it. I think that is our absolute obligation. It's not in my best interest or my friend's best interest. If I had his best interest in my heart, is to go, man, you're fat, you look great. How's that good for anybody? Or a really, really thin man, I go, shit, man, you look good. Because that's a joke. They know they don't look good. Women, you're the ones who are going to have to do this more, because it's more the body positive women out there. And if you're a beautiful looking woman who've got a good natural hourglass shape, not thin, not fat, it's your job to go and help these people on either end of that spectrum, because it is the line of the same thing. Female, same line, male. Fix them, make them healthy. Do your job. Don't sprout out bloody beautiful they are when you know they're not. Which comes to my last thing. Back to that job doing traffic control, up and down the line, seeing all these people. There's, as far as I know, there's 3 types of violence that we're aware of. There's physical abuse, there's psychological, and there's spiritual. And that comes in domestic violence and all the other things. But I found another one, and this goes back into that body positive movement again. Anyway, the other thing I'm thinking about now is visual abuse or visual violence. It hurts me. I want to defend myself. I saw people walking past on both ends of this spectrum. This is why this is in my mind at the moment. I saw a woman walking past going to the beach who was so thin, she was a skeleton. And she had these clothes on that women wear now. I think you see them, like maybe in America, sure, other countries maybe. They're walking around virtually naked. They've got really, really, really tight bike shorts that are really small, right up near the cheek crack of their ass. And they've got these tiny little crop tops, if not half bikini sized things to show all their tits, out of the side, out of the top. So they're virtually naked. And on a beautiful woman who's got that typical hourglass shape, maybe Marilyn Monroe or Rita Hayworth, all those beautiful shape of the early days, in between that and Twiggy, that's maybe okay. But when you see a woman who's morbidly obese wearing a skin-tight bike shorts and her apron fat is hanging out over those shorts and a crop top thing, it makes my eyes bleed. It hurts me. I feel I'm being visually assaulted. It's like, and you can't turn away from it because like, fuck, really? How can I turn away from this? And they know that. The same goes with this not morbidly, anorexically thin. I'm not saying she's anorexic, but she was skeletal, wearing the same thing. It was like, it was visual assault. I don't know any other way to explain it. I wanted to go over there and give her a sandwich, for Christ's sake. And I wanted to go to the woman who was drinking a frappe, the big morbidly obese one, and slap it out of her hand. I go, it's just, I don't know. I can see, in Australia, we've got things called stingers, jellyfish. I know they're everywhere. And I know a lot of people go to the beach and they put on a stinger suit. And the stinger suit is just like a wetsuit, but thinner. It takes away all of that look of anything. It just protects you from being bitten. I can see these women who wear almost nothing, I mean literally almost nothing, walking to the beach and going to the beach and putting on a stinger suit so they can swim. Go figure that. I mean, surely you wear clothes to the beach that are decent and appropriate for everybody, not just them in their mind or their Insta, TikTok, gram, book, face, reel or post. And for the whole general population and go, yeah, it's inappropriate. I'll go to the beach and now I'll take stuff off to swim. But these women walk around with it all the time. And if they understand the male mind and male sex drive, and I don't know, I can't say that I understand it a lot, but I know a guy who goes out to the bush and finds rocks that look like tits, and he paints a little nipple on it, and he can sell them at the markets because men buy them. Fuck, that's cute, because it gives them that mindset. Oh, I'm looking at tits. And they look at the rock tits and they go, fuck, I'm looking at tits. And then they look at their woman and go, oh, tits. And they're turned on. Like, it's pretty much that simple, hey? But if women are doing this stuff all of the time with almost no clothes, and men are looking at them and being in the man's sex drive mindset, being turned on and not being able to action it, men turn off. They look at this thing and they'll turn off because they can't do anything about it. And then they will actively look for women with clothes on to try and get maybe a sneak of a boob, or maybe if they're wearing a skirt, maybe if they bend over, can I see a bit of undies, you know, instead of seeing it all the time. It's absolutely unbelievable that women don't get this. Like, how simple is it? Don't show it all the time and tell a man he can't action it. Show it very little. And when you want a man to action it, show it. It's not rocket science. So let's stop visual violence. Men are the same. No point men wearing pants down so they can see their butthole, see their hair coming out. That's fucking gross. All you want to do is stick a plug in it and just pull their pants up. My God, how disgusting is that? And the fashion showing underpants? Really? Really? I don't care. I don't want to see if you're a Bonds or a Calvin Klein bloody fashion junkie label snob and show your underpants. I don't care. They're underpants, guys. Don't show them. Pull your pants up. Walk properly. Bloody hell. Anyway, that's enough. I'm done. Over. My half an hour's probably gone a bit longer than half an hour, so I'll check. Oh yeah, a little bit over. Sorry about that. Anywho, I'm moving on. So keep in mind, as I say at the end of all of these, about 110 people die every day. About 270 people are born. It's our job as people here is to let those go with respect and honour and welcome those that come in with nothing but contentment and joy. Okay, thought of the week, starting this now. Have a dream and pursue it. No one's going to come and knock on the door any day and then hand that dream to you. You go and do it, guys. Enjoy your journey. Have a great weekend. I hope you do, and you do everything you need to do to be happy.